Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are making a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. So we're working on the refinery in here, and this is where, in the dungeon over here you can harvest some rubies, and we have this red box in front of us. That's our dialogue box collider. But if you get some rubies like this, now we have 1 ruby in our inventory. The idea is you go over here to the refinery, and she can basically take your rubies and upgrade your spellcast elements. So yesterday we got it so where we're in a special room that we trigger a disjointed hitbox up there, so that our red hitbox actually reaches up here, so we can actually talk to her behind the counter there. And we also have little placeholder readable things for the different elements in here. So the next goal is we need to actually be able to transact and purchase an upgrade. And I said I would think about this yesterday, and I just did not have the time. So we're gonna have to figure it out right now of what does this look like in game when we go to purchase the upgrade. So let's say it costs 50 rubies to upgrade your Flama element. We need to be able to say it costs 50 rubies to upgrade. Do you want to upgrade, yes or no? And then if you hit yes and you have 50 rubies, it would decrement your ruby inventory and then give you the upgrade. So we do have, right now if we spellcast, we've got 1 fire spell around us. But if we go and change this, we'll have to make this work for different spells, because a different upgrade isn't gonna always be an extra spellcast element. Because right now we can do a spellcast element of 2 and give us two flames there, and then actually I can get rid of the dialogue detection so we don't have to see that. But we should, like this is 2, so this would be the first upgrade, which is 1 of 2 upgrades you can get in the demo, and then the third upgrade would just be 3 of them, and it will top out over there. Yeah, it would top out at a spellcast entity count of 3. So 3 gives us the triangle of them. So in the demo, the player would be able to get up to this many spells, which would help out a lot in the dungeon if they get stuck. If they can't do it, because then the timing is a lot less strict, because then only one of your spells would have to hit a bat to cleanse them, so it's a lot easier. But also, we need to tweak the dungeon a bit. It needs to be a little easier for I think this map in particular should be a bit easier. But if you block that bat right away, you're pretty set. So it's really not bad. You only really have to worry about this guy if you get the timing right. And then the last room is not hard if you know what you're doing, or if you just hurry. If you mess around, you'll get really messed up by these guys popping out. But if you block all the bat holes right off the bat, you really just have to worry about this guy, and then you're good to go. So we don't have the warp zone yet, and the warp zone is going to take us to unlock our new tome of music right here for our loot system, right? So we can oh no, these guys, oh god, yeah, these guys are brutal. These guys will kill me instantly. You're not supposed to, yeah, it's supposed to be like a one-way dungeon there, because this part unlocks a shortcut, and then you could go in the other way. We're gonna add a sign here that says, like, don't, for the love of God, don't go in the dungeon this way, because these 3 guys are very dangerous. Which, you know, if you're on top of it, you can kill them just by cleansing them. Like, oh my god, as I get murdered by them. But yeah, if I was better, you know, you could definitely take them out. Still technically dead right now. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we need to think about what the UI kind of looks like for getting the upgrade here. And I did not do it yesterday. So, you know, we've got a couple ideas, like maybe we put, you know, the cost of the upgrade right beneath the element. But yeah, I think it's like an 8x8 pixel art. So like this is like the ruby. I'm not dead set on this art either. It kind of looks like an acorn. I want it to look really like a gemstone sort of deal. So we could, you know, it just takes up a lot of space. If we want legible numbers and icons, it takes up a lot of space. It can't really just fit underneath the counter here. So I'm kind of thinking that we should kind of trigger, we could kind of trigger like a new menu, like once we talk on, if we have an active dialog box here on one of the items, we could render a little menu up here, right? And it says the different, like whichever one you click on, it can say Flama level 1, next upgrade level 2, and then how much it costs, and then a little inventory count over here for how much you have, and then a special dialog box that says, you know, do you want to spend your minerals or something like that. So yeah, I'm trying to think about like the best way to go about this. I don't like the idea of adding this to the play state. So we might make, yeah, part of me thinks that we should kind of make a new state machine just for the shop. That way our render logic for the special UI and the special dialog boxes can be kind of contained in there, and they won't get accidentally triggered in the rest of the game, you know? And I just don't want to clog down the main scene or play state class with very specific shop logic. So I guess what we would need to do, I guess what we would have to do is kind of listen for a scene transition to a spot like this. To how would we do it? Because we would change the state if we warp zone at a particular scene. You know, this is a scene, what is it? 111. So if we warp zone to 111, then we need to go into a new state, which is our shop, our refinery state machine, and that will update our entities so that Ren up here can walk from left to right, and then also it needs to pull in our dialog box objects from our global table so that we can interact with the items in here, and then it also needs to control the rendering and UI for the upgrades, but also carry over other stuff like, you know, player data, player equipped, current equipped skins and equipment, and then also the inventory for how many rubies and stuff you've got. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it today. Kind of, yeah, I would say probably an anxiety attack happened today throughout, and maybe currently happening because I'm just overwhelmed with life right now. But I do want to get game stuff done because I think it's what I like to do. So hopefully we can still do it. Okay. Yeah, how would we trigger a special state if we walk in Yeah, we need a... How would we do this? Let's take a look at the warp zone. You know, kind of like this, where we could have a field on our global scenes that is a string of any potential special state that we need to turn into upon a warp. But also, yeah, because I mean that's how we're doing it with this dialog box upwards, but also it'd be a field on every single map, even if it's not a warp zone particular scene. So I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess we can do it anyway. So like here in the play state, we cycle through our warp zones, and if we're colliding and not already warping, then we're going to change our player. We're going to refresh. We're going to trigger a starting scene transition, which is like our curtains coming in on us. We're going to become warping. Then we reset all the collidable map objects for the scene we're about to leave. We flush the current coins in the current scene. Okay, so what happens if we're warping? Then right here, if we have started this scene transition because we were warping, then we're going to say, well, our global scene view now gets a new scene instantiation of the row from our warp zone object. Because we go... Yeah, we go into our global table of warp zones at the index of k, so whichever... Actually, yeah, this is wrong. Well... The idea here, so far there's only been one warp zone in a given scene. So like, a warp zone will take you from one place to another. So this is like potentially buggy if we had more than one warp zone. Yeah, but with this example, we don't have any scenes that have more than one warp zone, so it's probably okay, but this is probably something we want to fix. Man, there's a lot going on. Because we've got, we say, okay, well, let's reinstantiate a new scene of this current warp zone scene. We're going to change the animatables to be the new map. So if there's any animatable tiles in the new scene view, we're going to make sure that our current state machine gets those animatables. Oh my gosh, this is a lot. We reset positions for all our entities. We update our checkpoint positions. If we do this finish scene transition, that's the curtain open. That's pretty simple. We just don't become unwarping until that's done. And we fade from black. Okay. I think a good thing to check would be our opening cinematic class and see what is all required for a special scene change. Because the idea is like our play state won't be updating when we're over. We'll just have to make sure our global inventory is updated in our refinery scene state. And then we would change back to a play state, which would then like resume game as normal. But we do have a couple of things, like we need to update the player, we need to update the NPCs, we need to pull in the dialogue box collision into this new state as well, and then do any custom logic for the shop in this new scene. So let's take a look at our intro cinematic. I think I call it events opening cinematic. So we do have some scripted stuff here, but basically what I'm looking for is all the stuff that we need. Like we need this. We need to update our scene view, right, in this class or in this state machine, and then do any character logic. So we actually aren't updating our NPC table here because we're kind of manually updating it with different steps. So that'll be a little different. But then we do this, which is our dialogue detection. And then we are updating our NPC actually. Okay, and then when we render our scene view. We render our what else? We render our HUD, we render, oh my gosh, man. Yeah, we need to clean this up. This is nasty. Where do we render our player? We render our scene view here. We don't render our player? Why do we pull the player's current animation if we're not even rendering the player here? Okay. Well, I don't know. This is kind of... I would like if we can kind of figure out a better way to do this. But there's not that many scenes that need to be specific like this. Most of the game is like the play state, right? So maybe like the inn where you sleep in a bed and rest might be a similar one. So let's just give ourselves a new scene here. We'll call it refinery state. I don't know if it should be an event or a state. It should probably be state. Okay. So let's see if I remember how to do this. Refinery state gets, what is it, a class? Curly brace, and I think it includes base state for our state machine. Okay, so we need to require this so our game knows about it. Man, I accidentally cleared my harpoon the other day and then lost all my shortcuts. That's okay. So basically we want to find our states, and we're just going to say also require this refinery state. Okay. Okay, let's see if we did this right with opening cinematic state. Class underscore underscore includes... Yeah, it looks like we did do it right. Okay, so our... I guess we could kind of take this one step at a time. Like, I kind of like the idea of just snagging the NPC as a variable here, and then we can update it without having to type the all the stuff. So it's like we know it's a NPC index 1 is Ren from our refinery, and then yeah, we're gonna describe a state name. I don't know if we won't need animatables because this one does not have any. Yeah, I mean, I do think we kind of need to, yeah, we need to snag, or we need to update our player X and Y to be in the doorway. We have this set with the warp zone, so we might be able to get away with not doing this because the warp zone should update our position. Yo, why does a map object take in a player spellcast count? I don't know why that's the case. Yeah, let's see if we don't give this. We need a handful of things like, I mean, and this is just the init, so this, I guess, yeah, since it's in the init, but the map isn't changing. Like, you know, this is a very particular scene, so we do need to give the map instantiation here. I think it's 1:11. Okay, and then we're assigning the map row and map column for our scene so that when we render it, it has both of those values. Because we're not initializing a scene at the correct location. We're initializing I think I swapped these around 1020, 1020. Yeah, 111. We're just telling us, okay, well now our global scene view now has a map row, map column of 11, so we know how to render the tile IDs. See, like, this is what I don't like about this approach, is that I'm kind of forced to redo a lot of code here of like certain things that need to be flushed before we can just reliably update the scene. You know, we want it to we want the game to basically be treated as it was already being treated, other than all of this logic is now contained in this refinery state as opposed to the normal play state. Active dialogue ID gets nil. We don't need animatables. We shouldn't need to change the state. We should be in the right state. Okay, and then self dialogue ID, self active dialogue ID. We might need this. So yeah, first thing we need to do is say, let's update our scene view. This is all custom logic. We don't have any scripted character movements like this. We have an NPC. Yo, Squinch. Yeah, trying to do the upgrade menu. So we're trying to make this whole state machine for the upgrade shop so that we don't have to bog down our normal scene class with all the shop specific logic. And hopefully that can have us make some like custom dialogue boxes that don't get triggered in the normal game either. Okay, so we do need the dialogue detection here. I don't think we'll have a treasure chest here, but... And this is what I don't like about this approach, is kind of duplicating this stuff. But we need to check, we need to update our dialogue box objects and all that, so we kind of need to do... We need to do it somehow, but maybe we can defer it to a function in the future. Okay, so we are, we shouldn't need to have to do this. We have access to Ren as the NPC index 1 of this current scene, so we might be able to get away with just saying Ren update. And then we've got some stuff. So in the render, we're going to render our scene. And then draw the HUD overlay. Draw our inventory slot. Draw our key item inventory slot. Draw our hearts. And then render any active dialogue ID, which we need to put here as a 111. Okay, so we still don't have a way to trigger we don't have a way to trigger this state just yet. But also this fade to black, this is a different fade to black than the warp zone. So I think we're okay ignoring that. But we could just toggle this state machine to a button press and then try it and see what crashes. Or if it puts us in the right scene. I don't know. So let's maybe try that. We do need to, in our main, we need to give our game access to this state machine that we made. So we do have to do that. Here we go. So yeah, we do need this to be called refinery state. Okay. So in our play state, we should be able to... Let's just try this where we're going to say if input pressed action. If we just press the space bar here, we're going to switch over just to test if it's crashing, and we're going to go to our global state machine, run the change method, and change to refinery state. Okay. Let's just see if it takes us there. Okay. Refinery state 3, map is a nil value. Okay, so it looks like we define a refinery state before we have a map. Okay, that actually kind of worked. But why is Ren updating faster than normal? We're walking fine, but she's walking faster. Why would that happen? Yeah, let me see. So like if we walk in here like normal, yeah, she doesn't. Oh, you know what? I think the entity is actually in the scene. Yo, Loki, what's up? Good afternoon. Okay, I think what's happening here is I think the NPC is actually in the scene, and then when we update it, it's like a double update, so she's getting updated twice. So I think she would be walking slow. Okay, nice. So right now I don't have the dialog box triggers, which isn't good. If input is pressed. So we either messed up this current map row for our scene view, but we assign it here. Oh, we assign it on the init, not on the assignment of the state machine change. So we probably want to do that. Let me just... Yeah, and we could... I mean, we really could, since we know what scene this is in, we can say this and not have to pass it in, or not have to update it when we go and declare this. Let's do this. Oh my gosh. We still need a way to trigger this. I'm thinking probably in the... I don't know. We could ask when we go to warp zone, ask if it is the refinery ID, and then if it is, trigger it. Okay, I'm looking for the dialog box updates, which are still not working here. Well, here, when we go to update our dialog box, we're updating it by a scene view active dialog ID, and we're assigning that based on a V dialog ID, which doesn't really exist here. We need this self dialog ID. Because when we cycle through, the V would be the dialog box. Oh no, I guess that would be V. Because yeah, we're trying to say that the dialog box we actually collided with we assign the I don't know, this should work either. We are in scene 111, right? I mean, everything else seems to be working. Oh, we don't have our debug because we're not in the play state. So we do have our spell casting. We don't have our bar though, and we just aren't pulling any dialog box. Yeah, this doesn't make a lot of. So the updating the scene works fine, but our dialog box objects aren't updating. Now, we do render a dialog box if there is an active dialog ID. Maybe this is based on the scene view's active dialog ID, which we assign here. Okay. Okay, we're missing something. We're not updating. I mean, our dialogue. Yeah, we are updating our dialog box right here. Okay. We kind of had the same issue with the opening cinematic, but we then changed it. We then allowed it to work. So I'm not sure what's going on. Just take a look at our update, see if we're missing any kind of step here. And we know it's not even getting triggered because we can still walk around. Because we'd become paused if we actually did collide with a dialog box object. What's weird too though is our magic HUD isn't showing up either. Well, that makes sense because it's in our play state. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's just make sure it is a scene 111 with the dialogue box. Yeah, 111. Dialogue box, that's all of our special collidables. And we're updating Renfine. So what if we were to just say yeah, I mean, I don't know why it's not updating. We should see it, just like how, oops. Oh. Well, that was messed up because we hit spacebar on a pause. Yeah, see, we're not able to pause it here. Okay, well, maybe we have to change the scene view. Actually, yeah, where are we doing? No, this shouldn't matter. This shouldn't matter. We shouldn't have to change the scene view's current map row and column because we're not doing any update logic there. But we do need to cycle through the dialogue box of our scene 111, all of the dialogue boxes, check for a dialogue collides with our player. Let me just print up what's in this map 111 dialog box and make sure we have something in there. Why did we crash? Attempt to index local options. Why can't we inspect this? It must be empty. We must not have it. Let's do this. We'll take a self row, self column here. Well, the 111 isn't the issue here. The issue is our dialog box. Why can't we inspect this? Oh, we have to close this. There we go. Okay. Okay, so look, it has a dialog box object in there. So we should be able to run collision for it. You know, because if we were to say, well, let's see what's the X position of that dialog box, it should be tied to Ren's location. Yeah, it should be tied to Ren's location. Yeah, villager 1. Okay, so we're not updating any dialog box because it's just not updating. It should actually be updating over time to go update with Ren's location. Oh, what is going on here? It thinks we're in the wrong scene because we should not be able to push. Yeah, it thinks we're in the wrong scene. Okay, I guess we do have to change what scene we're in. Okay, well, we pull. Yeah, it shouldn't matter. Okay, I think what we need to do is when we trigger this, we need to make sure we give our scene the correct map row map column. Because it doesn't make much sense to do it in the init, but once we trigger it. So where are we going to refinery state? You know, we're not triggering it proper either right now, but right here, if we press the input, we're going to change the state. So before we do that, let's just say that we would also change the map row. Map column. Okay, well that gives us, you know, I'm not pushing that wrong box, like that box is gone, but we're not picking up that collision detection for the dialog box still. Let's see if our dialog box is updating on Ren here. No. So yeah, we're not updating our dialog box, so let's just say that no matter what, we update these things. Actually, yeah, this would still not work either if this was wrong. Okay, that's really confusing to me. We're updating the dialog box. Yeah, well, we know this is running because if we turn off the scene view update, it won't update. Yeah, we're just stuck. So we know this state machine is working and rendering. But why is it that we can't update any dialog box object in here? Because, you know, we should have if we look at the dialogue box, let's see. The dialogue box takes in an NPC, and then where does it use that NPC table? Well, we don't use it? How are we updating the hitbox then? Wow, I don't see where we're doing it. What the heck? Yeah, it used to be, I mean, we did it so that you pass in an optional NPC parameter to the dialog box, and then its X position would track the NPC. But all we do is init it as the value and then don't do anything with it. What? But it is updating, it is working, so I don't know where we're doing that. Wow. Yeah, because it's not the NPC's X position I'm worried about. I just don't get why we're not updating any of the dialog box objects. So, because none of these, you know, these aren't becoming activated. So, what's weird? Yeah, let me just take a look at our scene, because we have to be updating our player here. Oh my goodness. We have to be doing this, right? How are we getting away with this? Okay, we update our player in the scene. We know the dialog box has an object in there. We printed it up. We know that's working. We don't need to do this assignment, but we should, you know, this it becomes activated once we press once we press action in a refinery state. We're going to cycle through our dialog box, which we know we have. We're going to check for collision with our player. We've got to be doing a render in the play state for our dialog box somewhere, or an update, something unique for our dialog box. See, we are doing this here. This is the same logic though. Okay, this is one thing we're not doing. Well, this is weird. See, oh, this is the line I was saying. This is the line I was saying that we didn't have. So now if we at least do this, let me just comment most of this out. So at least now when we print up the scene view current map row and column, I think it might be screwed up. But we should have a dialog box X that is being tracked with our shopkeep up here. Okay, so that's working now. Does that mean we have the dialog box object? No. So it's there, but we're not checking collision. Now, this active dialog ID is just not getting triggered anywhere, right? This self dialog ID, let's just say, self dialog ID is 0. So let's print up dialog ID and just see if this is getting triggered at all. So self dialog ID. So yeah, it's 0, and we aren't triggering a dialog ID upon a spacebar press. So we know that's not working. Now we're cycling through all the dialog box objects, which we know has stuff, but this dialog ID is not getting assigned. So this condition here is just not working. So either we can see if it's activated or not. It shouldn't be activated. So I don't think that's the issue. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what's going on? It's just not activating. We know we're pulling the dialog box. Right? And we're pulling up to 5. So if we go try to inspect the 4th dialog box, it should give us some values because we are pulling it from the global thing here. Yeah. So it knows there's a dialog box index 4 at 111. It knows there is. The issue is that we're not detecting the collision for it. So we do, let's say if we update the 2nd dialog box, let's see if Flama's working. No. Okay, we know it's not activated already, so we just need to do what, man? This is working. This active dialog ID is not getting triggered, so this loop has to be wrong. Let's just say we have count And as we loop through, increment count, let's just see. This should be 5 times every time I press action. Okay. All right. Okay, so yeah, we are advancing 5 at a time, so that means this loop is working. We are cycling through the active dialog box, but this player dialog collides is just not working. I mean, so look, if we were to do count here, only if we dialog collide, we won't see any update of this bottom number here. Yeah, so, oh, I think I know what's wrong. We need the disjointed hitbox. Yeah, we need the disjointed hitbox. Shoot. That's all it is. Because if we go... Yeah, if we go into... What is it called? Text box. What do I call it? It's... I want to say it's just in our player class. Yeah, dialog box detection. Yeah, I bet you anything our dialog disjoint is not. Yeah, so we weren't colliding with it because it literally doesn't touch her back there. Shoot. Disjoint. Disjoint. What is this, man? So we have this disjoint up variable on a scene to determine whether or not the scene's disjointed upwards, and we're manually changing it here, but that doesn't mean we change it on the player. Extend dialog box upwards gets true. Oh, who programmed this thing, man? Yeah. So this is in the scene update. Okay, so if we change the scene's current map row, current map column, then this value should get changed. So this current map row, current map column needs to be updated upon a refinery state. Current map row, current map column, that's what we messed up. This should be current map row and current map column. Okay, I think that'll fix our disjoint. No. Because we're not... Why? Current map row, current map call. We are updating our scene. Scene view, current map row, disjoint up. If we just manually flip it there, we do have it. Okay, then we have, okay, but, oh man. What is going on? Oh man. Oh, that's only on a finish shifting we do that. Okay. Oh, that makes sense. Because, yeah, we don't have that for a warp zone, do we? Yeah, we don't have it for a warp zone. No, we must. We must, because it is currently a warp zone. Disjoint. See this one, oh, that is in finish shifting. Okay. Well, I don't get why our other dialogue boxes get broke here. We must not be assigning the dialogue ID correctly. Well, if we collide with it, we should be assigning the dialogue ID, but then when we update, we are only updating one here. So yeah. Yeah, this would be self.active dialogue ID. That's the one we want to update. Okay, hopefully we get the new text here. No. Self-active dialogue ID. It's just dialogue ID. We can either do self dialogue ID or the scene views active dialogue ID, which is probably better. Okay. There we go. Okay. Why that though? Why is that one busted? Actually, yeah, this is a little weird. We're rendering the dialogue in the scene, so we actually shouldn't need to render. Yeah, we're rendering the dialogue in the scene, so we shouldn't have to actually render it here. We shouldn't have to do this if we're rendering it in the scene, because we're already updating and rendering that. Huh. What the fuck? Yeah, we might be doing like some sort of double render here, but self-active dialogue ID. Why is there not? Let's just double check our declarations and make sure we have locks. Yeah, we have locks as a 5th element in our dialog box on 111, so we should be able to render it. We've got to be doing something wonky here. I don't know, I feel like we don't need like any of this. Shit. Yeah, okay. Well, we do need some of that. Okay, so I think our active dialog ID, it's just not getting set right. So we're saying whichever one we collide with, go ahead and put that value into the scene view's active dialog ID. Now we crashed in the scene at 509, so that's telling me that this active dialog ID was something out of bounds for what was in our dialog box. But we have 5 objects in our dialog box. So we must be... Well, this is the only time we're kind of messing with it. Okay, so if we pull out the actual self.dialog ID, what is it? It should be 1 if we talk to Ren, 2 for Flamma, 1 if we talk to Ren, yes, 2 if we talk to Flamma, 3 here, 4 here, and then we crash. Even though we have it here. What's going on? Yeah, so the line we're crashing is in our scene, line 509, right here. It's crashing on trying to render an active dialog ID from our scene. But we know we have an index 5, because if we were to say this is now index 5 dialog box, so I don't think we'll crash here. But yeah, so it's not nil, it's false. That means that we do have a dialog box at that index. So when we're crashing in the scene view on line 509, it shouldn't be nil here. So it's like it's almost like we've got to be assigning this wrong somewhere. We must have a dialog box. I don't know. Well, because it's like, if we just get rid of that, you know, if we say, there's no dialog box on that 5th one anymore, it would probably stop the crashing. Actually, 102, what the heck? Oh, we might have to do number here. No. 102. It doesn't like... Oh, well, yeah. Okay, I mean, it doesn't crash when we take it out, but why is it that it's kind of limited to 5? There's nothing different here. We're saying index 1 is Ren, 2 is Flama, 3, 4, 5. So why are we crashing on 5? This is so weird. Yeah, it just does not like this. We've got to be doing something weird. We've got to be doing something weird to our dialog box table for some reason. So I really don't get what the difference is, because if we just walk in here like normal, it works fine. So what the heck? And it should have been this active dialogue of 5, right? 0. 5. What the heck? Why did it say 0? Uh-oh. Shit. Yeah, why would it say 0 here? Well, it kind of makes sense because we're actually triggering the other state at that point, not the play state. So I guess that kind of makes sense. Let's try this. Instead of doing this, I don't think that's the issue though. What the heck, dude? Yo, Kivictus, what's up, man? I don't know. I'm getting frustrated. I don't know what the hell's going on. Like, is the fact that we're assigning it to 0 causing some issues for some reason? Oh, I appreciate it, Kavictus. I mean, it's my fault. I just have no idea why it's happening. If we were to print up the state we're in, we should only be doing like this scene 509 here is where we're crashing. And we only try to render what's in the dialog box at the map self map row. So let's do this scene view map row map call manual assignment once we trigger a refinery state. So once we trigger a refinery state, let's trigger our scene views map row. See, and that's what's just so confusing about how I've done this is like I couldn't even tell you what I mean by map row map column or current map row current map column. Like I don't know why they're like that. But let's do this. This is the only thing I could think of that would have any effect on that. Okay, that works. Okay, yeah, let's just look at what the heck a map row is for a scene. Because this has always confused me, and we have a map row and a map call. That is what we pass to the scene. This is so weird. Okay, so map row and map column is what we pass to the scene when we initialize it. But scene view map row, see what the if we go into the map, the row and column gets saved as map row, right? No. It's just a row and column. What the fuck, man? So when we go and do this, gosh, who programmed this, man? Yeah, the map row, map column. Why do we have this twice, you know? I don't know. If we get rid of this, does it work with just the map row, map call? Yeah. Okay. Okay, well, so we need the proper trigger, right? We need to trigger this refinery state upon a warp zone, but the whole goal of this now, you know, it's only taken us an hour and a half, but we've got basically the ability to now do certain rendering outside of our scene and map so that it doesn't clog up our other logic. So we can do an example here, like saying let's just draw a rectangle. Let's just draw a green rectangle for the fun of it. Cool. So like that proves that we're in a different state than our normal state. So right now, if we walk into here, we don't see the green rectangle. If I press space, we'll trigger it and see it, because now we're in the refinery state, which is where we're going to have all the logic and the UI for the shop so that you can spend your rubies and everything. So all the work we did in the past hour and a half was just to get some logic decoupled from our play state so that we can kind of sequester it off in its own file, essentially, but still have the same functionality. So we have to trigger this green rectangle up here upon a warp zone, and then de-trigger it off a warp zone. So it's like, dude, I took more than a syntax error to the knee. I took a segmentation fault to the face multiple times. Yeah, in Lua equivalent is more index a nil value is the pain there, because like I'd say like 95% of the crashes are because indexing a nil value in Lua. Okay, so we have to do this trigger. This is just weird, you know. It's like, how would we trigger this state? I think we have to add it to the warp zone. Yeah, I think we add it to the warp zone object. So if we go to our warp zone, see, we've got this disjoint true or false. I feel like the thing is, once we collide with a warp zone, we need to check, hey, does that warp zone have a special state we need to load to take us out of the play state, essentially? So I think what we do is we can say, we're gonna pass in this state change variable, and it's optional, you know, it could be nil, but we're gonna optionally require that as a warp zone. Then when we go to our declarations and we give the warp zone to go to 111, because we do here this insert warp zone. Oh my god, 111, the warp zone to go to 111 right here needs this state change of a string called refinery state. So yeah, and this is now okay, so this insert warp zone, so nothing should have changed yet. It's just that warp zone. Now the warp zone is a little green rectangle that we're about to walk into, and that triggers this warp to this other scene. It's different than a scene transition, because the scene transition is like where it scrolls the screen, but a warp is taking us to a new place. So this is going 7-3, 7-2, 7-3, 7-2, and then we go up here, we warp to a 111, because it's not adjacent anymore. Now it's just warping us. So now that we have this refinery state, let's see where we change this refinery state. Okay, so we have all this. Now we're going to copy it. Now we need to go to where we do the warp zone updates. Okay, so basically we cycle through, we check for colliding with a warp zone. So right here, once we become warping and reset all of our stuff, we're basically going to say, well, what do we do here? Now we're going to say, okay, well, we want to see if that warp zone object that we just collided with, we're going to see if now the warp zone we collided with is this value in the warp zone. So we're going to say if v dot state change is equal to this refinery state, then we're going to in fact assign our proper map row map call, give us that disjointed hitbox, and change us to the refinery state. So now hopefully when we walk into it normal, it should see that green rectangle because we would be in the refinery state. Fuck. Not quite. Refinery state. State change refinery state. So the V, we cycle through the warp zones, we cycle through the current maps dot warp zones. Okay, so the thing is, with the warp zones, there is a warp to and a warp from. So this 111, yeah, go from a 7.2 to a 111. So we collide with that warp zone, refinery state, refinery state. Refinery state. Yes, refinery state. Shoot. And it is a state change on the warp zone object. State change on the warp zone, but it's after a disjoint parameter. So after the warp call, it needs a disjoint, which we can default. Actually, yeah, we could just say true state change. So I think we're just missing that other optional parameter. So we'll say it's actually true on the disjoint, but we're not assigning that here. And then we pass in refinery state. So we're hoping to see that green rectangle when we walk in here. Shit. Refinery state. I thought that was it. I really thought that was it. Okay. Well, our play state, yeah, we cycle through our warp zones. If we collide and we're not already warping, then we do all this stuff. Yeah, V state change. If V dot state change is equal to refinery state, then change our refinery state. I'm curious if we just say, if we collide with it, let's just change the refinery state anyway and just see if it works. Okay, so that works. It works to kind of do it there. So it's just that we're not getting the state change condition working. Because if we were to print up the state here, it would still be play state. So we are not changing this. So that means our state change warp zone just does not have the refinery state parameter equal to refinery state. Refinery state. We spell it camel case. We pass it as the what? 10th parameter? Yeah, I want to say this is it. Because it's from a 7.2 to a 111. That's the one that we're doing. 7.2, yeah. 7.2 to 111. That's the one. Okay. State change. XY. Player X, player Y. Warp row, warp call. That's 6 parameters. Then there's 7 for disjoint, 8 for state change. So when we init this warp zone, XY, player X, player Y. This is wrong. Okay, this is wrong. This is an insert warp zone, not a warp zone. Son of a... If we look at insert warp zone, that's when we actually initialize the warp zone here. Yes. Okay, so what? Okay, so let's do this. We're going to add an optional parameter to this called state change. And let's just say local state change is this parameter. Can we do that? Okay, so we're gonna use, we can just use the parameter. We can just use the parameter. So here we're gonna say if state change does not equal nil, then we're gonna initialize this warp zone. On the way over there, we're gonna pass in the actual state change that we gave it. And then we could actually pass in the play state to change us back upon a finish warp zone. But we also need to say that we would also just... Come on. We would do it normally if we don't have that state change parameter. So this parameter should be optional, and we say, well, if it's nil, go ahead and... If it's not nil, go ahead and insert it. So in the declarations here, when we do our refinery state, we don't need this argument. And then going from... Actually, yeah, that's a little wrong. But this, I'm hoping this will actually change it. This won't change it back to play state, but I'm hoping we see the green square. Son of a bitch, dude. Now, what we could do, instead of doing all this junk, we could leave it untouched. We don't pass in state change as a parameter. We leave it untouched. And what we could do is just say, we could just go into our map 7.2, warp zone, index 1, the only warp zone in there, and we're going to go to its state change that gets initialized as nil, and we're going to say it is refinery state. Just manually assign it like this. Okay, so that did work. It screwed up our X position inside a wall here, We are updating this stuff fine. So, I guess just here, we kind of just need to, we can change our player's location. This is like a special case, right? Like not every, this is the only place in the game that will load this refinery state class. So that's why I want it like sequestered anyway. But the thing is, like, our exposition is normally generated by the warp zone, but I think we prematurely, because like if you look at where we get stuck where we triggered the warp zone, right? Our body is up there. Our body remains there in the state. So it's like it calls the state change before it resets our position. So if we could figure out that order of operations, then we could kind of become normal again. Then we just have to worry about the transition back out, which is a whole nother thing. But, oh my gosh. Let's see when we do this warp zone collision. So we are doing this. We say, well, if we collide with it, then let's change us to a refinery state. But let's do that after we set our, well, I don't know where we're setting our player upon a warp zone. Right here. Current warp zones. If we're warping, we assign our player. And that's after the starting scene transition. So yes, after we start the scene transition, after, what do we do here? If we're warping, our player's X becomes the player X field of our warp zone object. Yeah, so at that point, when we cycle that, we might be able to say, let's change our refinery state there. I think that would fix our position, but I think the render might be a little weird. Well, let's see. Oh, almost. It does do that. Trigger starting scene transition true. Where do we trigger finish shifting? Oh gosh. Trigger finishing scene transition. So by the time we trigger our finishing scene transition, so it's like after it's faded to black, then if that warp zone has the refinery state, then we're gonna switch it. Shoot. 397. Yeah. Man, it's close. It's close. We're just not updating, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe our state is still in idle. But idle, shit. What would cause us to not move? This is close. I'm kind of thinking, because we change a state to idle, but all idle does is listen for an input. So we should be updating our player, no problem. It's just that, yeah, we collide with a warp zone, and we're not already warping. We're going to do all that stuff. Then we're going to change the refinery state, and let's just see if we get stuck upwards again. See, this is really weird. I don't know what player state would be at this point. Let's do this. We should be printing up the player state, which I'm assuming is going to be idle. Yeah. But, you know, we're registering input, so why is our player not moving? All we're doing in this play state is saying, well, all we do is change to a refinery state where we become updating our scene, and our player updates in our scene, and that's why our character's walking. Like, if we were to say, let's just put our player X position over at tile size times 3 and a Y of times 5 or whatever, just kind of like the center of the screen, are we able to walk and not be stuck? No. What the fuck? Our disjointed hitbox or dialog box is working, but we're just not wanting to move. I don't know why. Like, the only thing that kind of stops our player from moving is the cinematic state, but we aren't changing to that. We're changing to the refinery state. So as long as, yeah, we update our scene view, and we should be updating our scene view here if we're not paused. Let's just say we update our scene view regardless of pause. It's not paused though, because we're updating our NPC. Yeah, okay. So, what the heck? Okay, the only thing I could think of is that we're kind of reassigning this over and over, but this is only if we collide with a warp zone and we're not already warping. So, when do we get warping? Man, this is weird. Why would we not be moving? We know our scene's updating because Ren's moving. When we move this into like a button press instead of a warp zone, it works fine and we can walk around. So like, okay, if we try this again with like the manual triggering, It works fine. And see, it's still player idle. So what's the difference there? Even if we don't change our position, because this is the play state, we're changing from the play state to the refinery state if we press spacebar here, and that works fine. So there's got to be something in the finish transition that isn't working. Yeah, there's got to be, let's see if it finishes the transition, like see how the curtains kind of close and open? If we do this the old way, or hopefully the new way, by putting it right here, I think we wouldn't finish the transition before it gets us stuck like that. Yeah, see, there's no transition even triggering. So we need to wait for the transition. You know, we need to wait for this. It's going to trigger the scene transition. It's going to move us to the right location right here. Then, yeah, and then it's going to trigger the finishing scene transition. Now, by the time we're done with the scene transition, and by the time we become non-warping, we need to trigger it here. So like, let's just say at this point, regardless of the warp zone, I'm just going to say, well, let's just change the map and change the player state. If it doesn't work at this point, okay, it does work. It does work there. Okay, so now we just need to only do this if the warp zone that we collided with had a value, had a state change parameter of refinery state. That's the only time we want to do this. But we aren't cycling through the warp zones here. This is just based on a scene transition. So we could add, I don't know what we would do, because it's like the warp zone is an actual object here. We could, yeah, what we could do is say, well, if we're warping, then let's just do, let's just assign a warp object into our player here. And we'll make sure that our player can accept one of these with a warp object. And if we're warping, we have this warp object that we can check the state change of. And when we become warping false, then we need to also nullify our warp object. But before we nullify it, we can say, well, if our layers, did I screw that up? We basically want to say if our player's warp object dot state change is equal to a refinery state, then we want to reset this stuff. And then we flush our warp object and become no longer warping. So we should see the green box appear as soon as we're done teleporting into the refinery here. Nice. Okay, great. This is working, this is working, this is working. Great. All right, I'm going to take a little water break and I'll be right back. next Jimmy cam real quick. That's a big Jimmy cam. Okay. Okay, so in the past 2 hours, we've managed to basically just have custom update logic for this one scene that we've already had. But now anytime we define certain things, it'll only exist in this scene. So we do have to add a play state argument to the warp zone that takes us back, because if we were to leave here, it didn't warp zone us, it scene transitioned us, which is not right. So we actually aren't checking for warp zones. See that green square right there? That's the warp zone that should take us back and stop a scene transition, but we're not actually checking for warp zones in our refinery state. So we have to add warp zone checking in the refinery state. And then we have to also make sure we undisjoint our hitbox from this disjoint too. So this is bad. This is bad because we have a lot of, all of our fading transition stuff is also in our play state. So it's like all that stuff really should be reusable. So I don't have to just copy and paste it. It should be state agnostic. But yeah, so I guess our play state, we probably should move our triggering of warp zones to be from our scene and not from our state. That way we won't have to double code this up. So maybe we do that. Man, it's just so much work just to get. So much work. Okay. I say we take a look at the warp zone logic and see if we can easily dump it into the scene update. Because if we can, then we don't have to copy code into multiple states. Yeah, I think I want to commit right here as a checkpoint. Okay, so what we want to do... Yeah, I think what we want to do is look at our warping. See, like, this is... all this stuff, like transition fade alpha, trigger scene transition, all this junk, this all has to do with our warp zones. So we should be able to put all of this into our scene instead of our playstate. But that also requires the render and the inits as well. So here in the update, oh my goodness, let's just add the warp zones here. Now all of these global checks are the same. Now, yep, scene view, cool. Scene view, that should all work. The only thing different is the rendering of our warp zones, which, well, it's not just our warp zones either. It's the this transition fade. Okay, and then we need all of these local variables, like this transition fade alpha, this right fade transition, trigger scene transition, all of this stuff. Okay, this is more trigger scene transition, true. Okay, we're looking in our play state for these values like trigger scene transition. So luckily we have them all right here. So I'm hoping if we dump these into the scene, then it should work the same as it used to. Let's try it. I thought so. 547 doesn't like that. It doesn't like this. And actually, instead of deleting it, let's leave it in the play state, because other things can trigger a scene transition than a warp zone. Okay. Wow. It worked. It worked, but look, we're still in the cinematic, the refinery state because of this green square, and the animatables aren't working and the dialog boxes aren't working. So this is good though, because dialog boxes are working in here. So now what we just need to do is say, if we're doing a scene transition, if we trigger this. We could add the state. We could add the state to the warping from shit. Yeah, because the refinery state, it's tricky because we kind of define these warp zones in pairs. So that's why there's like 10 freaking parameters for it, because we're saying here's the scene that we're warping from, and here's the scene that we're warping to, and here's the position that our player is when we warp, and here's the player position that we need when we finish warping. But we also need to be able to say, okay, well, here's the string of the state name that we're going to change to upon a warp, and here's the string that we're going to change to upon a warp back. And we don't have that warp back state change name, because right here we have it where, you know, if we call this warp 2 state change, then the warp 2 state change refinery state, if that is that in the parameter here, and I don't think it's a parameter. I think we can just kind of manually define it, because we just have so much weird junk going on that we would do this, where we would say warp 2 state change refinery state, and then warp from the play state, which I think is like that. Yes. Okay, so we manually kind of added this field here. Warp 2, and let's do all camel case. Warp 2 state change, warp from. Warp 2 state change. Okay, so we basically need to say, if we trigger a warp while we're in, see, how would we do that? Because now this is in the scene, and we're updating the scene. So by the time we're done, yo, thanks Kavictus, thanks for hanging, homie. Yeah, have a good one. This is weird, because now that we're doing it in the scene transition, we don't have a, you know, it's kind of easy where if we were to leave it in the refinery state, that we can just say, okay, well, now once we trigger warp zone, we know we're going back to a play state. But we're not doing that. We're in a like we know the warp. See, it's like, yeah, I think we need to add this field to the warp zone object and not the... Hey, thank you for the follow, Destor Yeti. Destor. Yo, thank you. Yo, hey. Yeah, we just got a follower goal. Thank you. That's awesome. I think we don't want to do... When I'm kind of manually defining... Oh, well, this is on the warp zone. Okay. See, this is weird. Okay, so we don't want... Okay, I think we're doing this where we want to do this. We only have a warp 2 state change, but when we go to a 111, we're going to go to the only warp zone on 111 and go into its field of warp 2 and give it a play state. And then now when we do the refinery state change, we need to also check. We're going to say, well, else if our player warp object, which is the actual warp instantiation, if that warp 2 state change as well is equal to play state, then we're just gonna change our global state machine to play state. Okay, so warp 2 state change, warp 2 state change. The only difference is now our scene 111 has a warp 2 state change of a play state argument that we manually defined, and that should switch us back to a play state. So we're looking for the green rectangle when we walk in here, which the green rectangle's there, and we're looking for that to be gone when we load it in here. Nice, and we get the scene updates and everything. So we are in fact in the play state. So So now we've got it where, yes, so the green zone is our active refinery state. Okay, cool. So now we have a way to trigger custom logic just in that one room, and it exists outside of our scene because we're only going to have this in this one room. I don't want it clogging up our scene logic or our map logic or our play state logic. So that's cool. And we have a sort of template. You know what's kind of weird? It takes us 105 lines or so in order to replicate the scene state in our game in a different state machine. So I don't know if that's good. I think we probably would want to kind of make some global render functions that holds all of the specific stuff, like the HUD render. It'd be nice if we just say render HUD, and then we get all of the global HUD values. And then scene view render is okay. But like other stuff, yeah, I don't know. There's just like a lot of weird junk in here. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not a lot. Because, yeah, we don't need stuff like rendering animatables here because there are none. So, yeah, it's about 83 lines. That's not too bad. It is hard-coded here, but that's okay. Because, yeah, I don't plan on changing the location of the refinery, so even if we did, all we got to do is change the 111s. Yeah, and actually, let's do this. Let's change all the ones to self.row. How come we can't do this? Shoot, man. Okay, so if we do change our mind about changing... This is so jacked up. What did we do here? Okay. Yeah. Okay, let's test if we screwed everything up with that. 11. Okay. Son of a... Okay. I really screwed this up. Shit, man. I really screwed this up. Okay. Okay. I have never used undo tree. How does this work? Okay, before this. Okay, this should be it. Right there. That should be it. Okay. I think what screwed us up was there's a self.row for... Oh god. See this arithmetic on row 6. See, this self.row is wrong. Right there. Okay. That might be it. Okay. Jeez. Okay, we've got to commit this. I thought it'd be a simple find and replace, but it broke a lot of things because we accidentally replaced ones here with self.row and ones here with... So it was just confusing and I did it wrong. So I guess I can't figure out... Let's just commit and let's call it added or refinery state change and back with warp zones. Okay. Now I want to try this again, but we're going to try to do a global replace here with... We want to capture 1, but that and the next one and 1 1 and the next one, and replace both of these with a... See, why can't we do that? We highlighted those, but we can't replace it. I mean, to be honest, this vim command is already a bit cryptic. I want to figure out how to do this because I've been trying to do this and I just give up without getting the answer, so I'm going to just see if I can get the answer. Okay, it looks like we've almost got it. Well, according to Grok, let's see. Because it looks like all we should have to do is we close this bracket. No, see, it's not replacing. This is saying we have to do... What the heck? Why does it need that? Okay, well, now we can do it by saying self.row self.column. Holy crap. Okay. So now if we do that, wow, look at that command. What the heck is that? What? How is that real? Okay, so now that we did that, we should be able to... We would still have to say that this is 111. But now, if we want to change which scene the refinery's on, we just have to change it in 2 locations. We just have to change right here, I guess 3. We change the row and column, the map, and the NPC right there. Okay, seems to be working. Sweet. Ooh, we aren't rendering our... we aren't rendering our element here on the HUD in the state. So in the refinery state. So let's make sure in our play state when we render the llama. Yeah, vibrancy render. We need this in the scene, not the play state, but let's just add it to the refinery state. Sweet. Okay, we've got it back. Okay. Okay, let's commit. Let's say that this is just... Okay. Okay, so at this point, we're basically exactly where we were 2.5 hours ago. other than the fact that we can do some custom logic in only one scene, only in the refinery scene. So the goal is, instead of rendering a square here, rectangle, we need to do some specific logic for like a UI if we interact with one of these elements to go buy an upgrade. So we've got unique dialog box for each one of them, but we actually probably need to make like a different type of dialog box, because we need the first page. Well, I'm actually not sure. We should kind of okay, I think what we do, I think I make like a little mock-up of this, and I try to just build out a UI in Sprite that kind of looks okay. And then once we sign off on like the conceptual mock-up, then we can go actually build it. So let's go to the refinery here. Let's take out our render. Okay. So we're gonna do a little mock-up here. Okay. So let's snag this as a photo. And let's pull it into Sprite, and we'll see what we like. It is what, 160 wide by 144 for a Game Boy. And we're just gonna pull okay, so here is the mock-up. Okay. Okay, it's not pixel perfect, but this gives us an idea. So now we can kind of draw it. You know, it's easier to kind of draw it in Sprite than it is to program it first. So we're going to kind of just like experiment with what this could look like. We do need a reference to our rubies as well as our element. So I'm just going to open up our master sheet so we can pull at least our Flamma. And then we want the rubies, which is its own picture. Yeah, I think I want to change that. I don't know. I don't think I like that much. Okay. Okay, so if we imagine like, I was kind of thinking like that it would pop up a little dialogue, right? It'll pop up on this side. I'm thinking it'll pop up on this side, the different levels. So if we had just like a brown here, you know, I kind of want it to be like where it can say level 1, level 2, level 3. And then over here, you know, we would have something like this. To be our current inventory of whatever the thing is. So in this case, it'd be a ruby. So we can say, you know, right here it says how many rubies you've got. Yeah, I just want like a little pixel font here. Okay, whatever. Okay. You know, just as like an idea. Okay. So maybe there's like a little arrow at whatever level you're currently at, or it starts at the level you're currently at. Gosh, there's a lot, because if we're thinking of like, you know, it's gonna say like level 1. That doesn't look good at all. We drew this on the totally wrong layer. Okay. Yeah, so if we think about it kind of like something like this, where it shows how much rubies we've got, and then it allows you to check the levels, and then maybe there's like, gosh, but this is like so hard. This is like a shit ton of stuff to program, because it would be for every element. So it'd have to load which inventory for the which spell you've clicked on. As well as their respective costs and stuff. But then, like, once you've unlocked it, you know, it needs to scroll differently. You know, like you can't. Gosh, it's a lot. It's really a lot. Because we also need, like, how much it's gonna cost once you've got it. So it's like, oops, if we have this, come on, man. You can apply levels with particles. More sparkles is higher level. Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, I'm not like totally sold on the level 1, 2, 3 there. I'm just trying to like visualize what the UI would look like in the store here. Cause like this is a lot. This is a lot. Because we still need to show what it would cost. Why can't I do this, man? So like if we think about like so bad, man. Okay. Where the hell is this layer? I literally just don't see that layer. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? Okay. Okay, so the idea is, like as you select the different levels, it'll tell you what it costs, right? So it says like, see, and this is what I mean by like it's a lot, because you know, if we're making this UI and it goes like bink, it would say this would be grayed out because you've already got it. You're at level 1. And then if you arrow down to level 2, it'll say, okay, that costs 50 rupees. Arrow down, it'll be locked because you can't get level 3 without getting level 2 first. So all of this stuff makes it complicated, especially considering we'd have to add this for the other minerals, even though the other minerals can't even be upgraded right now, and you don't even have access to those minerals. So part of me is thinking that this setup is gonna be, you know, I would like if we can do something like this for the final game, but I think it's just too overkill, too much work to get done before the demo, especially considering we can only upgrade one item. So I like this as a concept, and maybe we'll, yeah, I like this as a concept, and I just don't think I think it's just too overkill for the demo, considering our time crunch. You know, it's not like this doesn't add, well, because the other thing we could do, well, yeah, the other thing we can do is like only have Flamma in here, because that's the only spell we have. So like we could just put this. I like the idea of people seeing that they can upgrade the other spells though, but they don't have the other spells. So yeah, I think the spells should show up in the shop once you have them, because you can't upgrade it if you don't have it, you know? Well, no, because also the way to get the spells is to actually refine them. So like you don't get the blue orb for defeating a dungeon, but you get the blue orb from collecting enough sapphire in enough dungeons, and you bring it here to the refinery. So yeah, okay, but yeah, thinking about, oh my gosh, so like what would we need to do? It's pretty easy to initialize a little UI like this to render a background as well as an inventory with whatever color you ended up picking on. You know, if it's option 1, it's a ruby, option 2, sapphire, whatever. It's easy to pull that, and it's easy to pull that from the inventory. What isn't so easy is to limit the level. You know, I mean, I guess we can have an option that says current level, and then we can derive available levels from current level. So if your current level is 1, your available level is 2, and then we can scroll to either 1 or 2, and it'll say you've owned it. You know, like what would it say? I think it can be like a little check mark or a little, because like if we darken this like it's grayed out, right? Like we darken this like it's grayed out, because you can't get to level 3 unless you've got to level 2. Come on. Why? Yeah. So if that's kind of grayed out, you know, we can have something that signifies what level you're at, and then something that signifies the level you're trying to like unlock and see how much it costs. Because like, gosh, man, there's a lot. Because ideally, like if you go and you search through Yeah, because it's like, should we allow the player to kind of scroll and say, even though you're at level 1, so we'd have to have a way to signify that. So like what we could do is like, we can have this arrow be pointing at whatever your active level is, and then we can have a selector that is like a box, like a blinking box, like we'd got in other places of the game. Right, so we can have like on this layer, we've got like a little blinky box. Cursor, I call it. So like the cursor, you know, the black arrow's the level you're at. The cursor's the cost of the upgrade if you can afford it. Or if you're within one level, right? So, oh my gosh. It's kind of nuts. Because basically, if you're level 1, then level 2 will be available. And maybe we don't even allow you to see what level 3 is until you've unlocked it. So it's just grayed out and you can only see your current level and level 2. But then, you know, we shouldn't even give them an option, because like level 1's not going to say anything. You've already got it. So like if you're at level 1, it should just give you a blinky cursor right here where level 2 is, and tell you what it costs. Now, I don't know, like maybe we write it where it says cost up here, and maybe we say inventory over here or something, just to make it a little more clear that this number on the right is what you have, and then this number right here is what it costs. So like, as long as we can make that clear, it's fairly simple. But we have a lot of, I don't know, we've got like a lot of things to kind of keep track of, because it's like we have to keep track of which spell we're talking about, which you know, how many inventory of the minerals we've got, and then the current level, the available levels. I guess it's not that much, because the only difference between once we get level 2 and 3, because like once we've got level 2 unlocked, then 3 becomes available, then the black bar would be on level 2, and then level 3 would be the blinky box, and it would say how much level 3 costs. Then once you've got level 3, it just wouldn't say anything, and it can maybe have a different image or something if you've already got it fully upgraded. So we don't have to really worry about the players selecting different ones based on the availability. It's just we're going to change the cursor depending on what level you're at. So if you're at level 1, the cursor is going to blink here and show you what it costs for level 2. If you're level 2, the cursor is going to blink right here, show you what it costs for level 3. I don't think we need to scroll through because you've already got the upgrades. So maybe we can have some sort of check mark. Do you need to show each level? Just show the next available level. Yeah, I don't know. I think part of my brain is like, I like seeing that there's like 3 tiers at once, and you can be like, oh, I'm only at the normie this one. I've got 2 levels to go. You know, so like, I don't know, part of my like monkey brain is like, ooh, 2 upgrades is better than just seeing 1 upgrade, you know? I don't know though. I agree, like we can just show the next available level, and like you said, maybe level 1 is no sparkles, level 2 is semi sparkles, and 3 is crazy sparkles or something. We could do that. I don't know. The other thing we could do is kind of associate, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think monkey brain of mine wants to kind of see the 3 different levels. But it does also not make too much sense. Like, it doesn't allow you to toggle through. Like, it'd be one thing if it told you what the stats were and what the stat boost was, but it's just an entity count of a stat boost, so it's kind of weird to show anything else. Yeah, I don't know how sold I am on this idea. I think I'd like it because especially because, well, I guess if you don't have any of them, there'll be no black arrow, and then it'll show you level 1 costs 50 minerals or whatever to get the blue. So like, I'd like, not only do I like someone coming in with having just got Flama or whatever and seeing like, ooh, there's 2 levels of upgrades we can get, but also if they talk to the blue one, they can be like, ooh, if we find 50 of these sapphires or whatever, we can get this, which aren't available in the demo just yet. But I like the idea of showing them, like, it's almost like the skill tree, right? Where it's like you can see your skill tree, even though you can't afford all the avenues yet, just seeing the potential is kind of like, it lets your mind kind of like envision what it's going to take to get the skill tree maxed out. And I think that's kind of what I'm going for the beginning here. Like, I think even though you can't get these ones, it would be nice to see, just so people can wrap their heads around what it costs, and that there are going to be 4 main elements in the game. This is a lot though. Like, this is probably going to take me 2 or 3 days to code this up. Yeah, I can see it easily taking me like 3 days to code this up. I guess it actually wouldn't be that bad because most of it is not available right now. We'd have to make sure level 2 to level 3 is both working and available for Flama. But actually we can probably knock this out in 1 day if we like this method. I'm trying to think of a better, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards this. Yeah, ideally there's maybe some sort of check mark we can indicate that you've already got level 1. Yeah, so maybe we do allow the player to scroll on every single one of them at any given time and show what it costs. But if you've unlocked that level, so like if they're on Flama, this indicator would show up. This thing would go next to it, right? If you're selected on level 1, but we can put like a little check mark here next to it indicating that you've already got it. and then it'll be grayed out, but you should be able to highlight it in order to see how much it costs, just to give you like an idea. Oh my gosh, what'd I do? So if you highlight on this one, then it would show you. Yeah. Well, so like the issue too, Squinge, is like, well, if, you know, if we save this for the rest of the game, we still need a way to upgrade Flamma. So if I'm going to have to design the upgrade for Flamma anyway, the upgrades for the rest of them are kind of the same. They just need to show different design it like a quest book. Well, we still need a way. The big thing is we need a way to show how many minerals he's got and how much minerals it costs to upgrade Flamma, because upgrading Flamma to level 3 is in the demo. So we kind of need a way to upgrade it already, and that needs to work. So like part of me is thinking like, well, if we can just get the Flamma one done, the only difference with the other ones is just what pictures we render for here, versus also the second one would be grayed out because we don't even have level 1 yet. Or I guess they would all be grayed out because we don't have level 1 yet. Yeah, I think it's not too hard. I think the only unique things, right? It's easy to pull the inventory and the type based on which dialog box we activate. So it's easy to pull the inventory and get that rendering if the dialog box is active. Then we just need like an option selector, right? Which is just a blinky cursor on 3 different Y values. And it needs to render also the price of whatever it is. So that's not too tough. And then we just need a little cursor that is at the active level, which is either 1, 2, or 3. That's easy enough. Then we need, so I guess the hardest part of this is still just like the custom dialog box for you to like, if you hit B on it, it would cancel out of the dialogue and the UI. But if you hit A on it, then it would say, if you don't have enough, it'll say you don't have enough. And if you have enough and you hit A, it'll say, do you want to purchase this for 50 minerals or 50 whatever? Then it would actually have to deduct your inventory and give you the upgrade. And we can do the show off for each level. It is a lot, but kind of think we need it for the demo. Yeah, I think tomorrow I'll try to do like a 3-hour, 4-hour stream where we just knock this out and get it done. And then we can focus on all the other stuff. So this is like, one of the last big things of the demo. Yeah, it's kind of like the whole skill tree. Yeah, it really kind of is. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's important. I can't really think off the top of my head of a better UI to kind of like what I would prefer over this, because I don't want it too wordy, you know? Like I like that it's, I don't know if I like level 1, 2, 3, but yeah, I don't know if I like the level 1, 2, 3, but I don't know how I could, like, at least level 1, 2, 3 is like, I pretty much know what it means. Like, I know it's going to get stronger, right? If I just see more sparkles or more effects, I don't know if I'm, like, convinced that it's stronger or better. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of tough. Okay, well, yeah, I say I'll sleep on it and kind of think if I like this. I think this is a decent idea. I'm gonna save this as a mock-up. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna try to take a 3 or 4 hour stream tomorrow and just try to knock it out. I don't think it'll be that tough. As long as I have a clear idea what we want, we should be able to do it fairly easily. And it's okay if it gets a little messy because the all of this logic is now contained to our refinery state, so we can kind of like flush these values if needed upon I don't know. It's okay if it's like a little messy because it's all kind of contained in the state here. So as long as they're only touching like the global inventory and then the hard-coded values for the upgrades, yeah, it should be fairly easy. Yeah, I do like your idea though, Squinge, about this notebook. But we don't have actually, yeah, that is a good idea. Because it'd be cool to... I did have a notebook idea at one point for once. Because the game is kind of in two parts. Like, the game is like the corrupted part, which is the beginning here, right? Where like before you cleanse the biomes. But then after you cleanse the biomes, there's the second half of the game where you solve little puzzles now that the creatures are uncorrupted. So so the notebook was an idea I was thinking about earlier, with little hints about like you have like a little creature index that you can read about the different creatures and what they like, so that kind of like tips you off to, you can use the seeds for birds, you can use the berries for geckos, and some sort of their natures to give you a clue on the puzzle solving, because it's a little more open-ended, the puzzle solving in the overworld than it is in the dungeon or the biomes. So it's a little different, but I like this notebook idea. Just, you know, not for the demo. We won't be able to finish it, but I'll take note of that, and we'll consider doing that. But yeah. Okay, so let's roll credits here and find someone to raid, because I'm tapping out. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow for hopefully bestiary. So tomorrow I'll try to do like a 3-4 hour stream, hopefully get that whole thing knocked out tomorrow. I'll do some thinking too if I really like it or not. Okay, I cannot raid who I just tried to raid, so let's try it again. We'll just hit up Hypnotic. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks for watching, y'all. Have a good night.